If you're an inventor or an entrepreneur, you're likely facing one of two problems. Either you're stuck, where you have an idea, but now what do you do with it? Or second, maybe you have a product that's in market, but you're having difficulty learning how to grow it. And you can't afford as a small business to make mistakes. Now, my background when I started my marketing career was with Kraft Foods. And years ago at Kraft, and today still, they would spend $2 million on a launch, sometimes taking 1 to 2 years to get a product into market. As part of that process, we would spend $175,000 on one survey. It was called BASES, but it was just a market research survey. Now, if you're an inventor or an entrepreneur, you likely don't have $2 million to put behind a launch, or even $175,000 to put behind market research. And you certainly don't have 2 years to waste trying to figure out if your product can be successful in market or not. So we've developed a system specifically for inventors, entrepreneurs, and small businesses that's called the Perfect Launch. The Perfect Launch is appropriate for whether you have a prototype and no money, or little money just getting started, maybe just an idea for a product. Or you've got a product that's in market, but you're having difficulty growing it. Whether you're in either of these stages, in almost any stage of the life cycle with product marketing, the Perfect Launch is perfect for you. This is the right place to start with your marketing efforts, or even if you've got a product in market to be able to grow it. This process is very similar to painting a room. If you've ever done that before, that you know, the first thing you do is measure the room, then you tape off the corners, the walls, etc., and then you paint. And if you follow that process, the painting's easy. You can make it look perfect at the end of it with very little work, as long as you prepare, as long as you measure and tape. Marketing a product is no different. Likewise, there are 3 steps to taking a product into market where if you do these in the right way and in the right order, then launch is easy. The marketing of the product is easy. So let me go through these 3 steps very quickly, and then I'll walk through them in more detail. The first step is to first identify their perfect Ps, and I'll explain what that means. The second step is to determine the perfect path for your product. And then third is much like painting a room. When you actually paint, you're executing. The third step is executing the perfect launch. Okay, let me walk through the first step, which is identifying the perfect Ps. Now, these are common marketing terms, the 4 Ps of marketing, sometimes the 5 Ps. There's different ways to say it. I'll walk through what each of them mean, and this is the first step of the perfect launch. Now, I'm going to walk through this methodology. You'll notice that much of it is very similar to the paths that are taken by big companies, multi-billion-dollar companies. But we do it in such a way that it's very affordable. Get all the benefit of a $2 million launch that takes 2 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars just in market research at a fraction of the cost, very, very inexpensively. I'll walk you through that process. So the first step is identifying these 4 perfect Ps. The first of the 4 Ps is positioning. Now, what I mean by positioning is how you position your product in front of your customer. The first piece of this is to identify who your target customer is. The demographics, age, gender, location, geography, psychographics. What are their feelings? What sports do they enjoy? So you can figure out how to target them later in the process. On top of that, we also want to identify the features and benefits that we should communicate to this audience that's going to get them excited about your product. And all that combines to form the creative messaging. We call this process the positioning. You have your product positioned correctly in front of your audience, and they're going to want to buy from you. The second P is placement. This can also be called distribution. There's a lot of different ways to think about this, but it's really, you want to make sure that you show up where your audience is, show up where your customer is. Now, this could be radio, it could be TV, it could be retail, specialty or mass retail, online marketing, social marketing. There's many different platforms of distribution that this could form. We want to identify through this first part of our perfect launch process, what is the right positioning, but also placement and distribution of your item. Our third P is pricing. Now, this comes in a couple of forms. We want to make sure that the product is priced in such a way that you earn enough margin to be able to afford this business, to be able to market your product correctly. But you also want to price your product that's in a way that's of value to the consumer. Now, hopefully that will give you enough margin. If not, we need to retool this. And it's better to figure it out now than a year into the process. but find out what that right price is for the consumer. And sometimes it may surprise you. They may be willing to pay more for the product than you originally planned for, which gives you a higher margin. As long as you're delivering value to the consumer in a way that gets them excited about your product and that they like your product and they're willing to pay for it, that's getting the right pricing. That's the third P. The fourth P is the product or the service. Now, this is the actual product itself. There's a couple pieces of this. One is getting proof of concept that this product is liked by the marketplace. Now, if you're trying to get investors or licensees, or if you're trying to make a decision within your own company which way to go with your product, or even if this is the right product to market, or if you should allocate your resources elsewhere, this is a very important step. Getting that proof of concept that your product is going to sell. We have the right price point we've talked about, the right messaging, the right distribution, but now it's about the product. Do we do this right? Is it the right product for the right customer that you're thinking about? As we think about the product, we also want to talk about the product design itself. Now, this may go back to creating value to the consumer. If there's something that's missing, something that would make your product better, a different color, a different feature or benefit associated with the product, that's what we identify in this step to make sure that your product is perfect for your consumer. Many of you may feel that you already understand what the 4 Ps of your product or your business should be. But in reality, it's not about what we think. We need to market in the way that the consumers think. We need to identify the pricing, the product, the positioning, the placement that matters most to the consumer. It's about hearing from them and adapting our business to support them. It's about positioning the product in a way that matters to them, not to us. That's the importance of getting the 4 Ps right, and in such a way that you're talking to consumers to learn from them. Okay, now you've identified the perfect Ps for your business. The next step is to determine the perfect path. What that means is, what's the right launch path for your business? What's the right way for you to launch your product into the marketplace? Or if you're already in market, what's the right way to grow it to the next level? Part of this process to identify this perfect path is to analyze results from our early testing that we do and identify exactly how to move forward and do it carefully and slowly so we're not wasting money, but also in a way that we can move to market very quickly, right? We want to be careful and methodical so that we can get to market in the right way without wasting time and resources, because we don't have 2 years as an entrepreneur, an inventor, or a small business. We want to do this the right way, identify the first path to market as the best path to market. And that's the point of being slow, methodical, and careful in our preparation so that when we go to market, we're doing it right the first way out the gate. So let me give you an example of this. One of the paths that is most common in the products that we deal with that turns the most profits quicker than almost any avenue we've seen. Now, this is not appropriate for every product or service, but this is one potential path for you to go down. Often it starts with social marketing and online marketing. This is done because it's relatively inexpensive. You get results back very quickly, but then it's difficult to scale. So it's hard to make a multi-million-dollar business out of online and social media. So what we do is we start there to learn about the process, and then we move on to the second stage, which is often TV, direct response TV marketing. Similar to online marketing, direct response TV marketing gives you immediate results so you can adjust as you move forward and make changes and get it right, but also to rapidly grow awareness. Now, hopefully we've learned enough from our first step in this perfect launch process that now as we start to execute, we start to see results very quickly. As soon as we turn that corner of profitability on TV, it's amazing how quickly this business can grow. So oftentimes the next step after that for many products is to go into retail. Now, if you go to retail too early, for most products that are truly unique and different, you may sit there on the shelf while nobody finds you. The benefit of direct response television marketing is it gives you this rapid awareness, so when you show up on the retail shelves, people are there looking for it. They pull it off the shelf, and it does well in retail. And retail ultimately becomes, oftentimes, the biggest revenue driver of this entire campaign. Now, after retail, we often look into other avenues as well, one of which is HSN, or QVC. We have a partnership with HSN and the American Dream Show that brings inventors and entrepreneurs every single week on Monday night and Tuesday morning, onto the national network, which has 96 million subscribers. Now, this basically is a fantastically powerful retailer. It's great because they buy from you like retail. They buy quantities from you that they then figure out how to sell to their customer. But they also give you free marketing. They put you on the air or somebody from your company to market the product, to talk about the product. The advertising or the marketing is built into the system. It works very well together. The final stage often in this path that we often take is international distribution. Now, once you've established your market, let's say it's in the United States, which is an often or common place to start, you get everything figured out here. There are ways to distribute internationally using the same infomercial, if that's the route you've taken, and retail partners, et cetera, to grow beyond the borders in the US. The faster you do that part of the process, the better you'll be able to avoid competitors or copycats out in the marketplace, especially across international borders. So this is one example of the perfect path. It's not for every product. Part of the first phase of our perfect launch is to figure out what this path should be, and then we start executing behind that. So for many, it's social, online, to TV, to retail and HSN, to international. For your product, it might be stay on social. It has to be very targeted, for example, and there's no way to get into mass retail. For some products, if you've got something that's a little bit different or a little bit less expensive than the competition, then retail might be the first place to start. So when we work with our clients to identify this perfect launch process, we'll help you figure out exactly where to start so that you're in the right place at the right time and start making money right away. The third step of our process is to execute the perfect launch. So now we've done all this preparation work, we've identified the path, we've done all the research to make sure the pricing is right, the positioning, the messaging, everything else is lined up to create a success out of this business. This third step of the perfect launch is to execute the perfect launch. Now, many of our clients like to work with us because we've done so many of these launches. We've launched hundreds of products into market, some on TV, some via social, some right into retail, some international, some via license deals. There's so many ways you can go with your product marketing. It's good to work with somebody that has the resources, the experience, and the expertise. And that's exactly what Harvest Growth brings to the table. When it's time to execute your launch, we act as a partner and a great resource to be able to help you make sure you stay on that perfect path and execute the perfect launch for your business. And Harvest Growth operates as a one-stop shop where we have many of the resources we've been working with for years. So many of our clients come to us and really hand over the reins in some ways of their business, or at least their marketing. We can help them get set up with the right vendors for fulfillment, telemarketing, for website design, for social media support, for getting into retail, for international distribution. We have vendors and relationships in all these fronts to be able to help you with. This third step, executing the perfect launch, is often where inventors or entrepreneurs or small businesses fail the most. They may have gone through everything in the upfront phases, but not implemented it correctly. Execution is key. Now, I said before, it's the easiest part of the launch, and that's true. As long as you do the upfront work to figure out who your consumer is, how to talk to them, to identify the perfect path for launching your business, execution should be easy. But if you've never done this before, if you're walking through this perfect path for the first time, you definitely want to work with a partner who has experience, who has resources, and the expertise to guide you through every step. One simple mistake in the execution can blow your launch. So if you work with somebody with experience like us, we can help you to make sure that your launch execution goes off in a perfect manner. So if you're just getting started, or if you're in business but struggling to grow your product sales, it may be because you don't yet understand your consumer, at least not in the right way. You're not speaking to your consumer in a way that gets them excited, or you're not finding your target consumer. This perfect launch process is all about understanding your consumer, speaking to them in the way that's going to matter most to them, and then getting the sale. The sale is the easy part. This entire perfect launch process works for everybody, whether you're just starting out with a prototype, or whether you've got an idea that's germinating in your head, or whether you've got a business that's in market that's struggling to grow. The perfect launch will help your business. Contact us to learn more on how we can help you implement the perfect launch into your business.